Before we start looking at tournament results from the weekend, we have the last Synchro support card, the last Yusei support card from the Limit Over collection, the Heroes. And it's called a Synchro Emergency, and it is a trap card. So let us take a look at it together. I haven't read it yet. I just know that some people on Twitter yesterday went crazy over it. I saw it all over the place when it was announced, but I purposefully held back on it. Synchro Emergency, normal trap card. You can only activate one card with this card's name per turn. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can activate this card from your hand. Okay, maybe that's why. We got a new turn 0 hand trap potentially. You cannot special summon from the extra deck until the end of the next turn after this card resolves, except Synchro monsters. Also special summon one monster from your hand, but its effects are negated. Then, if your opponent controls a monster special summon from the extra deck, you can special a Synchron monster from your deck. You can banish this card from your grave. Immediately after this effect resolves, Synchro summon a Synchro monster. Ooh. There's a lot of possibilities here. This is going to be a tough one to evaluate because obviously this is a turn 0 Synchro summon, which has a lot of possibilities. Now, I will say, look up Steam Synchron. Hold up. Steam Synchron. I don't know how I feel about this card. Give me a second to process it. During your... Okay, Steam Synchron. During your opponent's main phase, you can immediately, after this effect resolves, Synchro summon using this card you control. Okay. The first thing that you have to realize is that if you're putting cards like this into your deck in order to play this card, that makes this card a little bit worse if you have to play stuff like this in your deck to make it work. At the same time, I don't think you need this card for this because you can already use this to quick synchro, right? Of course, because you can use both effects. You can use both effects in the same turn. This card says you can only activate one card with this card's name per turn, which means you cannot activate 2 copies of the same card from your hand, but you can activate the card from the hand and then you can still activate the effect in the graveyard. That does work. I mean, the most obvious downside of this card is that you have to play it with Synchrons, right? Like you have to play it, there's 2 ways you can play this card, right? You can play it in a Synchron deck, in which this card has basically no drawback because you're playing Synchrons already, and you also don't care about the restriction, so you can just play it in any Synchron-based strategy. You can already play the card, and it is really strong in those cards, in those decks. The question is, what is your interruption from this card, right? Oh, you can summon Junk Speeder on your opponent's turn, I guess, right? You can summon Junk Speeder on your opponent's turn and go crazy with it. You can go double Supernova with this plus a level 4 in hand. Okay. You know, that is scary, but that is also, I think, actually what Synchrons needed. Which is good or bad news, depending on whether you like Synchrons or not. But, like, a lot of the previous Synchro support in the recent announcements has just been, like, more combo slop stuff, right? And this card is different because this card actually provides something that the Synchron deck doesn't have, which is a better chance going second, right? Like a lot of the Synchron Junk Speeder based strategies have been notoriously bad at going second, because when you go second, your opponent is likely going to have a board which comes with removal, which makes it very hard to actually resolve your Junk Speeder, right? And so in those kind of decks, a card like this that allows you to start playing earlier would actually be pretty strong. Is this alone good enough to make Synchron decks better? Better, yes, but like, is it enough to make it meta? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think the more interesting thing to talk about, and the more interesting use for this card is as a generic card for Synchro decks, right? And I think this is a very interesting topic right now, because this card is releasing alongside, hold it, what is the card called? Fedralis Harmonia, right? This card is releasing in the same year as this card, right? Which is the new tuner hand trap that's releasing in Blazing Dominion, that also says you have to reveal 5 Synchros in your extra deck to use it, and you also can't activate the effects of monsters special summon from the extra deck except Synchros until the end of the next turn. So people are already going to be incentivized to play Synchro Strategies when this card comes out. Or rather, Synchro Strategies already get a pretty big boost from this card, especially for going second, right? Think about it this way. If you play a Synchro deck, you can now play 2 hand traps that no other deck gets to play, right? You have Hydraulis Harmonia, which is a really powerful card, and you get this card on top of it, which can potentially also be a good card, okay? So let's move the Junk Speeder stuff out of the way for a second, because for Junk Speeder, you have to play like a bunch of tuners, a bunch of Synchrons, right? Let's just ignore that for a second. What can we do if we want to minimize the amount of like bricks that we play in order to play this card, right? Which means we have to be playing like solid Synchron monsters in like, which solid Synchrons do we have that we could play with this card, right? We can play Jet Synchron, which is not the worst card in the world. We can play Assault Synchron, which is not a bad card. We can play Revolution Synchron, which is also not a terrible card, right? So those are like the kind of cards that I would expect this card to be okay with, right? Because you can use them, and they're not like the worst card in the world if you end up drawing them, right? If your deck is a Synchro deck, then it's not that bad to draw an Assault Synchron, right? For example. The other thing that you have to keep in mind with this card is that it is a little bit situational, because you need to draw a monster alongside it that you can summon that has a matching level from something that you summon from your deck, right? Like if your plan, let's say your plan is to go into Black Rose Dragon. I'm just making up like something that is a disruption as a Synchro, right? Like a Black Rose Dragon, right? Let's say you have Revolution Synchron in your deck, which is a level 3 tuner, and you want to go Black Rose, right? This does mean you have to draw Synchro Emergency with a level 4. If you don't draw it with a level 4, you can't make Black Rose with your level 3. So either you play multiple options, like different level tuners and different level Synchros that you can go into, or you risk drawing the card without the matching level, and then it doesn't work out, right? I don't know. I think this card feels fun to me, but it obviously has the potential to be really, really powerful if you look at Junk Speeder. At the same time, I feel like the problem in that equation is not this card. The problem would be Junk Speeder. Why are we not talking about Cool Tune? I mean, yeah, Cool Tune can use this card. We've talked about Cool Tune because I said every Synchro strategy. So yes, of course, Cool Tune can play it, and it's good in Cool Tune. If you want to play, what would Cool Tune do with this? Like, they would play maybe Assault Synchron is fine in Cool Tune because level 2 is pretty solid. 2 red Supernovas turn 0 doesn't feel fun to me. That is never gonna happen to you. It's never gonna happen to you. Unless the Junk Speeder deck specifically becomes playable, but no one is going to play 15 like Synchrons in their deck to make this work into doubles Red Nova, whatever. They sometimes play Wheel Synchron. Is Wheel Synchron the level 5? Yeah, Wheel Synchron is level 5. If this card is used as Synchro, you can treat it as a non-tuner. During your main phase, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon level 4 or lower monster. Banish this card from your grave, target the Synchro in your grave, reduce its level by up to 4. Okay. Well, see, this card, on the other hand, would be a complete garbage draw if you have it in your hand. I guess in Cool Tune, it could be fine, because you can Synchro with it from your hand if you have something you want to go into, right? That does work. It's good after Speeder resolves. Yeah, that's one of the things that I talked about already with some of the Synchro support. It's really hard for them to make Synchro support while Junk Speeder exists, right? Like this is the weird spot that you get into when you make cards like Junk Speeder that are so obviously overpowered that like every single Synchro support card that you make is going to be evaluated with Junk Speeder in mind. So this card has 2 completely separate uses, right? You either use it in like Synchro decks to make one Synchro summon as a disruption when your opponent is going first, which is strong but could be considered fun, or this card makes Junk Speeder, in which world it's completely busted, right? Which is weird, which is a problem that exists because Junk Speeder exists. But the card itself, I think is pretty fun. I think it's an interesting card. I mean, I like I like this sort of thing, and I guess this is a polarizing topic in modern Yu-Gi-Oh. Some people dislike cards like this that play on the opponent's turn. Some people like them. I personally am on the side of I like when interaction on turn 0 exists, and I like when that interaction is not just I activate a Dominus card to negate what you're trying to do. I think like it's always more fun when people actually start playing the game and interact with each other instead of just negating and using hand traps that negate everything. I think it's more interesting when stuff like this happens, where like, oh, I'm going to perform a synchro summon on your turn, and so on and so forth, right? A new hand trap that we can Ash going first. Yeah, also that's really important, right? We got to make Ash even better when the player going first has it. So the more cards they print that can be ashed when the player going second dares to play the game, is good, right? New card in 19 minutes. Yeah, we're gonna get the next card in approximately 19 minutes. But yes, just to get to a close on this card, I think this card is strong. I think this card has multiple applications. I think this card is obviously very strong in a Synchron deck, like in any Junk Speeder deck. They are going to play this card. I don't know if the deck is going to be meta or not, but this card is strong in it. And it actually patches weaknesses of the deck because it's going to make the deck stronger going second. And that is something that the deck desperately needed. And then it also has good generic uses in other decks, I'm pretty sure. I think this is going to be a very strong card. And I think especially if you consider the fact that we also get Fedralis Harmonia this year, I think this is going to be a massive boost to synchro strategies in general, because they basically get exclusive hand traps that other decks can't play, right? It's like a Dominus Purge, Dominus Impulse situation where some decks are just better because they can play those cards. And this is the case for synchro decks. Like Fedralis Harmonia and Synchro Emergency are going to be very, very good cards for synchro decks going second. Like it's basically just having like 6 additional really high quality hand traps in any synchro deck.